2020 wasn't the year we'd expected, but then again it wasn't the year anyone had expected. Jill and I had been lucky enough to have squeaked in a trip to Sedona and the Grand Canyon earlier in the year while the coronavirus was still incubating in China. We came back to an escalation of COVID infections, lockdowns, stay-at-home orders, masks, and social distancing, and Jill shopped the senior hours at the grocery stores. As summer unwound into fall, and with 7 months of relative isolation nagging at us, we decided to make a break for it and do a week of our social distancing out of town. Northern Wisconsin and an A-frame on Lake Michigan sounded like a good bet because Jill and I had been to Door County when I first came to Columbia in 2004, 16 years ago. We liked it, and we'd always vowed to return. Door County is a beautiful little peninsula of artisans, apple and cherry orchards, ocean-like views, and charming little townships. And it was in driving distance, so we packed up our masks, our sanitizers, our bravado when we hit the road via Chicago and Milwaukee and up the western side of Lake Michigan. Here's our trip to Sister Bay, Wisconsin.
Play a guitar just like a ringing a bell. Go, go. Go, Johnny, go, go, go. Go, Johnny, go, go, go. Run now, Johnny, but the people.
In 1/4 of a mile, turn left onto East Balbo Drive.
We spent the night in Milwaukee at the Drury Hotel, 11th floor. It was a new hotel and just a block off a nice little riverwalk area that we enjoyed the next morning.
You have reached your destination.
Whoa. She said there's a welcome sign, and it is. Oh, super cool. Nice on for us.
The cabin was great. We kind of dragged our heels getting there and we're glad to get in. It had a couple bedrooms downstairs in the front and a master upstairs with a great big game room and couch and another bed. They had a name for the cabin in Norwegian, I think, that translated to Sunrise Cabin. It faced east and had a nice view of the sun coming up over Lake Michigan. took the 30-minute ferry from the tip of Door County over to Washington Island for the day. Washington Island wasn't a small island, and we spent some time driving around and exploring. These were lavender gardens here. No one around. And I couldn't resist a photo op here in this train. Sorry. The trip home was against the wind and it was starting to get cold. And we came home from a nice day on the island to this dumpster fire of a debate between Trump and Biden.
No noise except right now as we welcome the Republican nominee, President Trump, and the Democratic nominee, Vice President Biden.
And spewing all kinds of lies, insults, conspiracies, and complaints, including moments where he refused to condemn white supremacists and urged his supporters to go stalk voters at the polls on Election Day. In other words, it was Trump being Trump.
We wanted to do two things the next day. One was to find a little place that was on the map called Raleigh Bay. We thought it was a little village up the road from us.
Well, we finally found Raleigh Bay. It's on our right on the map. And this is a dead-end road. We're going to go to the end of it. If Jill will take the steering wheel.
Sorry, I'm busy. I'm trying to find our resort. Raleigh Bay Resort.
There was no village called Raleigh Bay. It was just a bay, and our cabin was on it. The second thing that I really wanted to do was go sailing on one of Sister Bay's two skippered boats, the 40-foot Passage North and the 65-foot schooner, the Edith Becker. The 40-foot sloop sounded like a lot more fun, and the schooner sounded a lot more interesting. As it turns out, it didn't really matter because they weren't letting the boats go out. It was too windy and we were too cold. Which was interesting because our cabin was on the protected east side of the peninsula, and Sister Bay, where the sailboats were, was on the rough windward side. Look at the difference here. I was disappointed at not going sailing, but honestly I wasn't looking forward to getting soaked at sea in those 25-knot winds. We found other stuff to do. We went shopping, drove around the island, and did some wine tasting.
Okay, what you got, baby?
We have a flight of 5 different little tiny cups, plastic cups. Oh, various fruit wines.
Do we know which is which?
Yes, and they need to stay in order so that we'll know. Because this one is your cherry apple, this one is Lauren Elizabeth, which is really for me. This one is kind of here's your black cherry, sweetie. This one is pear, and this one is Death's Door port, since you like port, or say you do.
We got that rainy weather we'd been hoping for. We had plenty of wood, a lot of good reading material, and just hunkered in. It was great. When it quit raining and the sun came out, we drove over to Bailey's Harbor to look around. I took this back road thinking it had great promise, even though the branches were setting off my car alarm. It didn't. It wound up in the back nine of a golf course. The trip was short. It seemed like it was over before it began. We took the back roads down to Green Bay and took one last look at the lake before heading home. It was a good trip.
It's mark on me. Hey, don't clip my wings, brother. Why can't you leave them as they are? Don't clip my wings, please don't take away my everything. Don't clip my wings today. See the danger, sister.